Alright, what's going on? I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how you can make a simple motion morph. I'll put an example up right here. It's basically where you morph one either image or shape into another PNG image or shape. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to be using two shapes. I'm doing a circle into a square. First, what you need to make sure you do is have both images lined up on top of each other and pre-composed, just like I do already. And for the first one, the one you want to start off with, the image that you want to morph into another image, you're going to start with that. I'm going to solo it. You can just turn that layer off, but I'm going to just solo it. You're going to select it, go up to layer, and then auto trace. Now when this pops up, one key thing is you have to select apply to new layer. And you can just leave pixels at 0, and once you do that, just hit OK. Now as you see, it created a new solid. You could drop that down by hitting U, and there's our mask. But we want this mask on our actual image, so to do that, change the mask type to add and kill that keyframe. So now we just have a mask. And you could copy and paste that onto your normal layer and delete that solid. So now if I select this layer, we see there's a mask around it. Do the same process with your other picture. So now if I select both of our things, you can see we have two masks, the circle mask and the square mask. Next, what you are going to want to do is go to your effects and presets and find the reshape effect. To distort, you can just add that onto your first layer. So what you want to do is, say for example you have I'll rename this layer circle, and we'll rename this square. So just let us work easier. Now let's go to mask. We need the information from the square on the circle so we know what this mask is morphing into. So copy and paste each of the masks onto each other. So I'm going to copy the square mask onto the circle layer and the circle mask onto the square layer. Okay, so I left out one key thing here. When you copy and paste the opposite mask onto each layer, you want to make sure that the new mask, or mask 2, would be set to none. So change that from add to none. And then go up to your reshape layer, or reshape effect controls tab. And the starting mask, the first image, that is your source mask. So drop down and select 1, which is our circle mask. And then destination, we know it's morphing into the square, so change destination mask to 2. We can see that it created something right here that is called a correspondent point. And correspondent points are probably pretty important because that means this part of the circle is going to go into that corner of the square. So in a case of if you're morphing PNG images like a face or an animal, you would want the mouth, or the nose morphing into the nose, leg morphing into the leg, yada yada yada. Here it doesn't really matter because it's shapes, but I'm just gonna do one correspondent point into each of the corners. As you can see, like I said, we already have one, but to add more, make sure you have your reshape effect selected, and then grab that pen tool and just go to wherever you want to add another point. I'm gonna do it on each side and hold Alt and click. So now you see we have another point. Do this for each part you want. So now you're gonna have a different amount of correspondent points, and they might look rough at first, but you can actually move these. If you hold over them, you'll see there's a little circle. You can drag it to wherever you want to go. So you can fix up your correspondent points. I gotta move them into the corners, which I'll do real quick. Let's see, that one's already good, and the last one down here. And that should work. If we select to reshape, this part of the circle is going there, that's going there, that's going down there, and that's going up there. What this is saying is that those parts of the mask are going to that part of the square. And basically, for the second layer, it's just a reverse. So when you create correspondent points for the second layer, or the destination mask, You want to make sure they look similar to this because it's basically the same. So we have to put the corresponding points in these same spots. So I'm gonna go to reshape. I'm gonna add that to this layer too. Again, the source mask, what we have right here, this layer is mask 1, which is the square mask, and it's going into the circle mask because it's in reverse. As you see, it already created a corresponding point, and we just want to copy these corresponding points onto this layer. Like that. They don't have to be too exact. Depends, again, it depends on what you're actually morphing, but for the sake of shapes, it doesn't really matter. Fix those up. So, if I select each of the layers, they look pretty similar in regards to corresponding points. Now we are ready to actually do the morphing. So, to start off, the keyframing is %. So you want to click the stopwatch for %, and it makes a keyframe, which you can see if you click U. We have a keyframe right there. Go to the end of wherever you want. Transition to end. I'll just do it right about there. Save that. But I want it to end here. So we're gonna turn this up because we want it going into the square. And as you see, it slowly morphs into the shape of the square. You can graph these if you want. It would probably look smoother. I think I'm just gonna leave these plain for now. We can mess with that after, but yeah. Like I said, the top layer is in reverse, so we want to do the opposite. We want to come down to this top layer, keyframe %, but this time we're going to start it at 100, so it starts as the circle. You can see that it all looks like one circle, and then go to the end, and then drag this down to 0. So now we have a, if I play this slowly, we have a very smooth motion. Now another thing is, when you are using the same color, you do not have to mess with opacity. But say for example, I could go in here and I change this to a different color. We'll do this to like green. Nice. Now we have a problem because the whole thing is green. This could be a problem if you're using 2 different images. So we're gonna do the same thing with %, but with keyframing opacity. So you can use T to find opacity. I'm gonna keyframe that. And you want to start the circle at 100 and then go to the end and put it to 0. So the circle fades away into the square. And again, we're gonna do the opposite for the square. T, keyframe opacity, start at 0. So now we only see the color of the circle. Go to the end and then make that 100. So if I play this back, we see that the colors actually fade into each other, and it's not just one singular shape. Now that is pretty much it. Again, you can mess with the graphs. There's not really much you could do with graphs in terms of motion morphing, but yeah, you can mess around with this, use it on some shapes. Unfortunately, you cannot use like JPEGs or other images like that. It only works on either shapes or PNG images. But if you want to do a motion morph for JPEGs or images with backgrounds, I would recommend the time warp effect, which I might do a tutorial on if you guys let me know if you want to see that. But yeah, this is reshape effect, and that is it. Thank you for watching.